A major development in U.S. China trade relations tonight. China is now easing restrictions on American beef and poultry imports following high-level talks in Beijing. The move could impact billions of dollars in agricultural trade, strengthen supply chains, and possibly reduce tensions between the world's two largest economies. But there's another important detail making headlines. Beijing is also asking Washington to officially recognize China's coastal province of Shandong as a bird flu-free zone. So what does this mean for American farmers, global food markets, and the future of U.S.-China relations? Here's the full breakdown. According to officials familiar with the negotiations, China has agreed to relax certain import restrictions on U.S. beef and poultry products after a recent summit in Beijing between American and Chinese trade representatives. The agreement signals a possible thaw in economic tensions after years of tariffs, sanctions, and supply chain disputes between both nations. China is one of the world's largest consumers of meat imports, while the United States remains one of the biggest exporters of agricultural products globally. This new move could reopen opportunities for American ranchers, poultry producers, and exporters who have faced strict Chinese regulations in recent years. To understand the importance of this decision, we need to look at the background. Over the past several years, China imposed multiple restrictions on U.S. agricultural products. Some were linked to trade disputes during the tariff war between Washington and Beijing. Others were connected to health and safety concerns, especially outbreaks of avian influenza, commonly known as bird flu, in different parts of the world. China argued that strict controls were necessary to protect its domestic food supply and livestock industry. At the same time, American officials accused Beijing of using food safety rules as political leverage during trade negotiations. The result was uncertainty for U.S. exporters and rising tensions between the two economies. One of the biggest points in the current negotiations involves China's request for the United States to recognize Shandong province as a bird flu-free zone. Shandong is a major coastal province in eastern China and plays a critical role in the country's agriculture and food production sectors. The region is also an important hub for poultry farming and international trade. By seeking official recognition as bird flu-free, China hopes to ease export barriers and increase confidence in its agricultural products on the global market. If accepted by U.S. authorities, the designation could improve trade access and help Chinese poultry exporters expand internationally. For the United States, the easing of Chinese restrictions could provide a significant boost to America's farming industry. China represents one of the largest overseas markets for American agricultural products. U.S. beef exports to China have increased dramatically over the past decade, especially after earlier trade agreements expanded market access. Industry experts say even a partial reopening of Chinese markets could mean billions of dollars in additional revenue for American producers. The poultry industry could also benefit as demand for protein products continues rising across Asia. For many U.S. farmers dealing with inflation, supply chain costs, and economic uncertainty, access to Chinese buyers could be financially critical. But this story is about more than just food exports. Analysts say the agreement may reflect a broader attempt by both governments to stabilize relations during a period of growing geopolitical tension. The United States and China remain deeply divided on issues including technology, military activity in the Indo-Pacific, Taiwan, cybersecurity, and global influence. Despite those disagreements, both countries still rely heavily on economic cooperation. Trade experts say agricultural agreements are often used as confidence-building measures during difficult diplomatic periods. In other words, food trade can sometimes become a diplomatic bridge even when political relations remain tense. Not everyone is fully convinced this agreement will solve deeper problems. Some American lawmakers and industry groups remain cautious about relying too heavily on Chinese markets. Others worry that future outbreaks of bird flu or renewed political disputes could quickly reverse the progress. There are also concerns over whether both countries will fully comply with inspection standards, transparency rules, and import commitments. Global food markets are already under pressure from inflation, shipping disruptions, and climate-related agricultural challenges. That means any sudden policy changes between Washington and Beijing could still create volatility in prices and supply chains worldwide. In the coming weeks, officials from both countries are expected to continue negotiations over agricultural safety standards, trade certifications, and import procedures. The United States will also review China's request regarding Shandong's bird flu-free status. If talks continue positively, analysts believe more agricultural products could eventually be included in future agreements. That may include expanded cooperation in food exports, livestock safety, and broader economic trade policies. For now, both sides appear to be signaling a willingness to reopen communication channels after years of economic friction. China easing restrictions on U.S. beef and poultry could mark an important turning point in global trade relations. While challenges remain, the agreement shows that even during periods of geopolitical rivalry, economic cooperation still matters for both nations. The coming months will determine whether this is simply a temporary trade adjustment or the beginning of a larger reset in U.S.-China economic relations.